What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Gotham Season 3, Episode 18, The Primal Riddle. So, a lot of stuff definitely kicks off in this episode. Just a lot of stuff happens. So, let's take it piece by piece. First of all, we'll talk about the Bruce clone and Selina. So, he's talking with Alfred, they're playing chess. He lets Alfred win, and Alfred can tell something's wrong, still not aware that it is Bruce. Which makes sense because, like I said before, they trained him to, like, everything that Alfred knows, everything that he knows, or he should know about Alfred, they trained him there. So it's no surprise that Alfred's not going to catch on because they did a very good job training him. So, but he does notice something's wrong, and Bruce tells him, well, fake Bruce tells him, I lied, things did not go well with Selina. So Alfred leaves, and all of a sudden he starts bleeding from his nose, and so not really sure what's going on, goes and gets checked out, finds out that apparently he's dying, and so he's like, well, will I die before Bruce gets back? And Catherine's like, no, he'll be back well before then. So I assume that their thought process is, like, they take Bruce, he gets trained by Ra's in the League of Assassins, and comes back as, I guess, their instrument of killing, an instrument of destroying all crime. So I guess that's the why they sent him there, why they replaced him, so that he could go and get that training, so he could come back and work for them, which is very interesting. It kind of adds a little bit of depth to it instead of just, oh, we want to kill Bruce Wayne. They decided they had a purpose for him, and so that's why he is where he is, and that's why the Bruce clone is in place as well. So Bruce clone finds out that once Bruce gets back, all of Gotham is going to die, and of course the first thought for Catherine is, oh, if you're going to attach to Alfred, but I think all of us knew he was actually thinking about Selina because she's the first one that showed him some kindness. So he goes to see her and tells her, I'm not Bruce, I wanted to see you because I cared about you, I wanted to tell you to leave because I'm worried about you, and of course Selina, rightfully so, is like, holy crap, I'm telling Alfred because Bruce is gone. And just pretty much says, you're nothing like the real Bruce. He wouldn't just look after me, he'd make sure everybody was safe. And so this pisses off fake Bruce to the point where she's like, how are you going to stop me? And I'm like, Selina, you're asking this to a crazy person. Think, woman. And sure enough, he kills her. Yeah. So, Selina's dead, probably not for long, because frankly nobody dies in this show. But also, Catwoman, 9 lives, I assume she's coming back somehow. I don't know how they're going to explain it, because so far we've seen nothing of any sort of magical element concerning Selina. So, I hope they have a good explanation. Obviously at the end we see all the cats surrounding her dead body. So I hope they have a good explanation. I hope they're not just going to be like, the cats gave her magical powers and she survived. And yeah, I want there to be an actual reason behind it. So looking forward to seeing how they're going to explain her coming back, because she is. I mean, it's just one of those things where it was kind of shocking to see her pushed out the window and dead, but at the same time I thought she's coming back right as soon as she hit the ground. So that's how that story ends. Also going on, we see Riddler finds out about the Court of Owls. I guess Barbara, because of what happened at the docks last episode, she realized that something else was going on. Riddler somehow already knew about the court. I guess he sort of figured it out after what happened last season with Doctor Strange and all that. But he's able to figure out that there is some sort of secret organization in the background of Gotham. And so Barbara telling him about this just confirms it for him. So he thinks to himself, well, Mayor James is obviously being run by the Court of Owls, so if I kidnap him, they'll come and have to reveal themselves, or, they'll make a bargain with me so I can find out who they are. And it's the ultimate riddle for him, pretty much. So he kidnaps him, puts a bomb on his neck, and of course Jim figures out a way to sidetrack that with some help from Tabitha. But ultimately it comes down to Riddler wants to talk to Jim alone, and Jim is asked by the Court of Owls to go get Nygma, so it just kind of works out in a happy coincidence that this is just, it gives kind of everybody but Jim, I guess, what they want, because Jim would rather see Riddler in jail than being taken in by the Court of Owls. But as it works out, Jim manages to get Riddler in the car, take him to the Court of Owls, and then they take Riddler, and they're just like, we'll have some use for him. So I don't know what's going to happen to Riddler next. I'm assuming he's going to survive, but I don't know how. I really don't know what to expect with that anymore. But ultimately, this does give Jim his way into the Court of Owls. So we do see at the end of it, because he managed to deliver Riddler to them and keep Mayor J safe in the process, and managed to keep their identity a secret, they're just like, well, good job, Jim. Welcome to the Court of Owls. And so the last scene in this episode is him putting on the mask as we close out. So, yeah, all that was really interesting and exciting. And then the final story to talk about is the Penguin stuff and what's going on with him. So we see he and Ivy go first to see Mr. Freeze, which is awesome to see him back. And then on top of that, they go and get what's-her-face, Bridget Pike, the Firefly girl. Firefly. Yeah. So now they've got those two kind of on their little team of freaks, I guess. I don't know what they're going to call themselves. But it's interesting to see both of them come back into the show. On top of that, they did pick they picked the two freaks that hate each other the most. So it is going to be very interesting going forward, seeing them try to work together as a team, and I'm sure there are going to be arguments between Victor and Bridget, just because they do hate each other. They did have a fight at the end of last season, or was that this season? I think it was this season. I can't remember now. But there was that fight that they had whenever they were inside of Arkham Asylum, so it'd be interesting to see them working together. On top of that, it'll be interesting to see what Penguin's going to do now that Riddler's been taken in by the Court of Owls. Is he going to go searching for him, or is he just going to attack the city? Is he going to go after Barbara because he knows that she helped Riddler? Bunch of questions there. Obviously, this is probably going to become a bit more of the focus now that Riddler's out of the picture for the moment. So that's about it for the stories in this episode, though. There are a few other things to talk about. One in particular is the Barbara story. Kind of almost like a side story connected to the Riddler stuff. We do see that she does have motivation to take down the Court of Owls as well, because she wants to be the most powerful person in Gotham. So very interesting seeing her take this sort of deep dive into like a psycho... What's the word I'm looking for? It's just like she's going psychotic, pretty much, is what it is. Like, she's just losing her mind. At the end, whenever Tabitha helps Jim get rid of Riddler, because obviously she hates Riddler, so she wants to help Jim get rid of Riddler. She does that, and that pisses off Barbara because she wanted Riddler to get rid of the Court of Owls, because once that happened, she would have the power in Gotham. And so this causes her to kind of lose her mind for a second as she screams at Tabitha. She bashes a guy over the head with a drink. So, yeah, we're seeing kind of I would say a different, but we have seen this psychotic part of Barbara before, but I don't think we've ever seen her this angrily psychotic, and that's an interesting way to take it, because a lot of time the psychotic part of her was like she's working with Jerome when she was at first turning psychotic, so it was a lot of fun to see her like she was crazy, but the whole time she was working alongside the Joker, so it was like she was all smiles as well. Now she's a little bit more angry and willing to probably kill anybody that pisses her off a little bit at the moment. So very interesting to see that side of her. On top of that, it'll kind of be interesting to see where Tabitha's going to come into this story, because at first she seemed like just, they wanted to have some, I guess, fan service. Some of these shows, I talked about this before, some of these shows nowadays, they want to do like this, oh look guys, two hot women are making out, come watch, all you guys that want to see that, you perverts. So it seemed like that's what they were trying to do with Tabitha's character, like, oh look how hot she is, and now she's making out with another chick, oh isn't that great? But now she's actually starting to become, ever since I guess her brother died and she and Barbara started working together to take over this club and started running a bit more of the crime in Gotham, she has actually started to develop a little bit more of a character. And I think that really peaked whenever Riddler captured her and the whole Butch thing going on between the two of them. And then, all of that was very interesting. And I think they captured it very well, just how, I guess, tortured she is as a character. Now she's kind of distancing herself a bit more from Barbara to where, honestly, there are some episodes we see Barbara, but we don't see Tabitha at all. So it's very interesting to see that that's how she was first brought into the show, as like, oh, look, she's a hot woman and she's also bisexual, so here you go, guys. But now she's actually becoming a distinct character separate from Barbara. And it's almost like now they're kind of feuding amongst each other. It makes it a lot more interesting. So I really like what they're doing with her character right now, and I like how they're kind of putting them at odds, because so far we've only seen them like together and just all, oh, these, look at them, they're just happy together and nothing can do them any harm. But now it's like, oh no, they're pissed at each other, so what's going to happen now? Somebody going to kill somebody else? Even Butch is like, oh, this isn't good. So yeah, interested to see where that's going. Another side story to talk about is Lee. For some reason, she's still like psychotically wants to take down Jim. And I honestly thought we had moved past this. You know, I know she still didn't like Jim, but I thought we kind of moved past this whole, oh, she hates Jim for what happened with Falcone's son. Apparently not. We see in this one, you know, after she finds out about Jim's uncle and, you know, finds his body, does the autopsy, like, Jim obviously knew what happened, so he didn't really have much of a reaction. So she's like, wait a second, you're hiding something. And Harvey's like, look, Lee, we got this. He's like, just cover for him, whatever, and storms out of the room. And then it's like when she's talking to Jim later, she's like, I think somebody replaced the bullet in his head, and the ballistics didn't match. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then she's like, I'm tired of you ruining other people's lives. I will bring you down. You will pay for what you did. I'm like, does she think that he killed his uncle? Like, what? I'm so confused. It's like she so hates him right now, again, out of nowhere, to the point where she thinks that he killed his uncle and she's going to try to prove it. Okay, why? I thought we were done with this story. Honestly, it's the only thing about this episode that had me frustrated. Everything else was great. I enjoyed this entire episode. This came out of nowhere. It's like, why are we doing this again? Why do we have to deal with this again? Why is this becoming a part of the story again? We've already got a good amount of storylines going on. We don't need to bring this back into it. It's going to overcrowd it. It's going to become too much. Let's not do this again, please. So I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. I don't know if that's just something they wanted to throw in there, like, oh, she still hates Jim or something. I don't know. It just felt kind of pointless in this episode as a whole. Final thing to talk about is the Riddler side of it. More everything that happened before what happened at the end with Jim and the Court of Owls. Some of it wasn't handled very well. Like, whenever he goes to take the mayor, I don't know. I understand that he's supposed to be really, really, really smart. However, it feels like at times it's like he's overly smart. You know, like it's almost like he controls things that he couldn't possibly control. You know, like whenever Jim and Harvey take the mayor to a hospital because, you know, he was eating the poison food, and so he gets taken to the hospital. They get there, and all of a sudden, like, there's an explosion which causes some biker people to come in because their people are being taken in. And all of a sudden, the cops are like, hey, no people are allowed in. My brother's just got blown up, and start punching the cops. And I'm like, wait a second, how did you know that these biker people were just going to start a fight with the cops? On top of that, Harvey's in the room with the mayor. Jim tells him, don't leave. And Harvey, like, looks out and is like, I'm going to leave. First of all, Harvey, you're an idiot. Second of all, how did you know that Harvey was going to do that? You know, it all seems like it works out way too perfectly for Riddler's favor. You know, if obviously he could have controlled the explosion, he could have controlled, okay, Mayor gets poisoned, he's going to go to the nearest hospital. That makes sense. But you can't control the bikers getting into a fight with the cops. You can't control Harvey leaving his post to stop the fight. And you can't control the fact that Jim would possibly run upstairs and then run back down, you know, and not get there in time. So I guess that part of it was just a little bit, it's too coincidental. It feels like you could handle it a bit differently. You could write it a bit better to where it makes more sense. But aside from that and the Lee stuff, everything else was really, really good. And it's getting intense. The story is doing very well at kind of keeping my interest on all the different stories and telling a cohesive story, even if it's split into many parts. And I said this in the last episode, and you can see it again where all of this is kind of culminating to where it's going to meet up at the end for probably an epic climax. So, now that Riddler's out of the picture, Penguin obviously wants to get to Riddler, and so most likely he's going to go after the Court of Owls. We see, obviously, Barbara wants to take down the Court of Owls because she wants all the power. Tabitha obviously wants to... I think she just wants to be with Barbara, but at the same time she also wants to rule the crime world as well. And so I think they're going to start being at odds because Barbara wants all the power to herself and Tabitha wants power as well. So it's almost going to be a power struggle there. Jim obviously is going to try to shut down the Court of Owls. Bruce, it turns out, probably being trained to be a weapon of the Court of Owls. So all of it is just tied around the court and everything they're doing in Gotham. And I love whenever a story can do that. It can give us like 5 different stories with 5 different characters, but it's all tied to one overall story. And that, in my opinion, is good writing. So look forward to see what they're going to do next. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? What do you think they're going to do next? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Gotham reviews. I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.